Chapter 2091. Unparalleled Elegance 5. This fireball must be destroyed to reach the 6th floor. What should we do? This fireball is extremely powerful. There's simply no one who can oppose it. At the same moment, Su Luo's fingertips moved slightly. There was still the last stage of soul healing that she must complete, but she was able to gain some consciousness. The words that everyone said with hoarse and exhausted bellows, she could hear them clearly. Obviously, she also hadn't forgotten that they had previously wanted to throw her and Big Sister Wei out. If you faced defeat on the 5th floor, then you couldn't redo the assessment within the next 3 years. This rule was absolutely ludicrous. If it were possible, Su Luo really wanted to make these people incapable of doing the assessment for the next 3 years. But it was not possible. Without passing the assessment, she wouldn't be able to get the communication amulet. Wouldn't that be a big loss for her? The fireball was very powerful, and Big Sister Wei could fight it. However, it was likely that neither side would win. Suddenly, Su Luo's eyes suddenly lit up. She remembered that when the fireball rolled till it was 10 feet before her, it had suddenly stopped, then turned and ran away. Even if anyone else had seen this, they wouldn't understand what was going on. However, only Su Luo knew why, because she could hear the fallen red lotus mutter. "What is that? How dare you act tough in front of me? Sooner or later, I'm going to eat you up." These words, Su Luo remembered them very clearly. In other words, that huge fireball was afraid of the fallen red lotus. Its nemesis was the fallen red lotus. Su Luo asked the little brat in her heart, "Would it benefit you if you ate that fireball? It's a great tonic." Little red lotus drooled. "Can you defeat it? It's nothing, okay?" After eating the fire crystal stone, this little grandpa has already transitioned from an infant to a toddler, okay? Fallen red lotus raised one of his legs over the other, shaking it complacently. If anyone were to witness this scene of a little kid wearing a doo-doo shaking his crossed legs, wouldn't they be shocked to death? Since Fallen Red Lotus was so confident, Su Luo immediately let it out. At this time, many people had begun to understand what was going on. It suddenly occurred to them that when the big fireball rolled in front of the two women in the corner, it suddenly reversed its direction. It was very likely that Area had something problematic for the big fireball. In order to save their own lives, they completely forgot what they had said before, and one by one, they desperately squeezed into the space behind Big Sister Wei. Big Sister Wei frowned and stared at them unhappily. At this time, the big fireball had already turned around, moving rapidly toward where Big Sister Wei and the others were. The big fireball wanted to win. Therefore, although it was naturally afraid of the super powerful fire-type suppression force released by the fallen Red Lotus, it still returned. One had to know that within the flames, there were different ranks, and the fallen Red Lotus was the king of the flames. While everyone was pushing and shoving, Sister Wei had already tossed her drumstick and stood up at this time. It was because she knew that it was no longer possible to go on without fighting. The fallen Red Lotus turned into a meteor and was quickly pulled into Big Sister Wei's big wooden club. "Where is the evildoer? And take a smash from my club." Big Sister Wei held up her big wooden club, flew up and shot towards the big fireball. Just as Big Sister Wei's wooden club shot over explosively, the big fireball trembled incessantly all over, similar to sifting chaff. It seemed to be convulsing. Then it had actually turned around and ran away. At this time, those people who had squeezed in behind Big Sister Wei collectively, all of them with no exceptions, were dumbfounded. What the hell was going on here? It was just one wooden club. Why would that huge fireball, with a killing intent so aggressive that it soared into the sky, run away like a child? While the people were in shock, Big Sister Wei was enveloped by a rainbow-like aura, appearing like an extremely powerful character who was above worldly considerations. Chapter 2092. Unparalleled Elegance 6. The huge fireball fled at lightning speed. However, Big Sister Wei held up her wooden club and continued to chase vigorously. For a while, the empty 5th floor was monopolized by two shadows chasing each other. At this time, the surrounding silence was so eerie. What the hell is going on? Was the big fireball suddenly hit by an evil spirit? or is Big Sister Wei, wearing her underwear on the outside? That Big Sister Wei who was gnawing on a drumstick was actually hiding her strength? So, before this, did she only care about gnawing on her drumstick because she disdained associating and fighting with small fries? But this girl, she definitely just ascended from distal end mountain. How can she be so powerful? Then, could it be that the big fireball is actually not that terrifying? Or perhaps, it is now like an arrow at the end of its flight? For a while, everyone was having a heated discussion, and their hearts and minds were filled with all kinds of doubt and disbelief. At this moment, the big fireball suddenly exploded with a booming rumble. Its flames burned white, and many people shut their eyes subconsciously. My eyes! Everything in front of me has turned black. I'm going blind. Darn, this big fireball is truly powerful. Just one face-to-face encounter, and my eyes are almost useless now. Big Sister Wei's eyes were also burned. Then, right at this exact moment, an orange-red flame suddenly burst into the sky, swiftly as a rainbow appeared after a rain. It sped right into the middle of the big fireball. Outside the tower, countless people stared with their eyes wide open, watching this incredible scene in front of them, perhaps a scene they would never see again in their lifetime. They just saw a tiny, weak orange flame shoot into the huge fireball. Then, the huge fireball became completely unable to move, like someone was ruthlessly clutching its neck. The huge fireball seemed to be twitching its limbs, rolling around as if it was wailing in pain and howling mournfully. The scene seemed to be forever frozen in place. It seems like it has been a long time, but it also seems like only 1 second has passed. Only a violent rumble was heard. Bulma? Brum! The fireball that was as tall as a 3-story building collapsed to the ground in an instant, causing countless ghost flames to rush out. However, before they flew any further, these ghost flames fell to the ground one by one like fireflies that had lost their wings. Unexpectedly, Lung Zhao's eyes stared fixedly at the big fireball. His eyes full of disbelief, and then flashed with a sinister light. Although he didn't completely understand Big Sister Wei's strength, he had roughly figured it out. He knew that with her strength, it was completely impossible for her to defeat the huge fireball effortlessly. He had seen it very clearly just now and understood that it was clearly that big wooden club. A strange orange-red flame had flown out from it. This big wooden club sure seemed like a good thing. Lung Xiao looked greedily at the big wooden club in the hands of Big Sister Wei. His eyes lit up with an expression that showed his desire to obtain it. At the same time, the Guardian stared at Big Sister Wei's wooden club. He had the same shine and chill in his eyes as Lung Xiao. In the tower, Big Sister Wei looked at the gigantic monster that loudly crashed onto the ground, and then at the tiny flame occupying her wooden club. The corners of her mouth suddenly spread into an exceptionally brilliant smile. She was indeed old friends with Fallen Red Lotus, although she too had been bullied very cruelly by him at the start. Sister Wei carried the big wooden club and strode back to her original spot. At this moment, the remaining 10 people looked at Sister Wei with gazes of reverence and worship. They were almost about to scream, "Long live your majesty," 3 times. Chapter 2093, Unparalleled Elegance, 7. For a moment, Big Sister Wei's domineering aura leaked out, shocking people with the ferocity of a tiger. However, these people were still flattering her under the pressure. BBB Big Sister Wei. You are so amazing. That's right, Big Sister Wei. You are super amazing. Just with a strike from your club, the big fireball falls apart. Big Sister Wei. With you, we will definitely be able to reach the 7th floor this time. You're totally this. This person gave 2 thumbs up and then bumped his hands together at his chest. Big Sister Wei glanced at them scornfully, turned around and piggybacked Su Luo on her back, walked towards the 6th floor with large strides. While walking, she still complained to Su Luo, "Do they think I am stupid?" After the Fallen Red Lotus swallowed the crystal core of the big fireball, he was now already retracting into Su Luo's space to go to sleep. Su Luo also closed her eyes, preparing for the final restoration of her soul. The pitiful thing was that Su Luo is still in last place while Big Sister Wei had already risen to 203rd place. Big Sister Wei, go slowly, Big Sister Wei. Wait for us, Big Sister Wei. We're your little followers. For a moment, it really could be said that it was a truly impressive scene where Big Sister Wei appeared rather majestic with a group of subordinates at her heels, calling out for her. She seemed no different from a queen. The sixth floor. It was quiet, extremely quiet. Unexpectedly, the troop of more than a dozen people made no sound whatsoever when their feet stepped on the ground. What was going on here? This time the Guardian starts the assessment in hell mode. Be careful, everyone, the fifth floor is already so hard. The sixth floor is definitely more terrifying. He was originally ranked 201st, and he was still currently ranked 201st. However, regardless of his prestige and strength, he also stayed behind Big Sister Wei. This was a burly and sturdy young man, with 3 or 4 little buddies behind him who made up his team. He also knew that Big Sister Wei was more or less treated as the leader here. However, he did not argue against this because a fool did not pose a big threat to him. Anyway, everyone just used Big Sister Wei as a shield. At this moment, he pretended to fall behind, then whispered to his team, "Try to find a way to kill that little girl, or get her outside the tower. Otherwise, Big Sister Wei will not be able to exert any great efforts. She will spend all of her time protecting that useless girl." "Yes, understood." In the silent space, the melodious notes of a flute suddenly rang out. Underneath their feet, the mountain shook suddenly. Afterward, everyone could only see the stars shifting around. When they opened their eyes again, everyone was dumbfounded. Where is this place? Is this place the sixth floor? There's a swamp ahead. What happened? How can we go through that? Seeing the endless swamp ahead, everyone was dumbfounded. At this moment, they were just standing on a thin lotus leaf, and they would fall off with a slight movement. Suddenly, a scream sounded. "Ah!" Everyone immediately looked in the direction where the scream came from. It was Su Luo's team, and the examinee's foot was being grabbed by a sharp, bony claw. They only saw the claw use all of its power and pulled down hard. No one thought that the claw was that powerful, and even so fast too. The examinee was unexpectedly pulled into a stagger, and then fell into the swamp uncontrollably. After falling in, he sank down rapidly. This was because his foot was in the grip of a magical beast at the moment, and the beast is in the swamp. Chapter 2094. Unparalleled Elegance 8. The swamp quickly became calm again, as if nothing had happened. There was a moment of silence, and then their backs stiffened as a chill swiftly crept from their feet up into their chests. That was just too terrifying. That beast moved terrifyingly quickly. They were completely powerless to defend themselves against it. At that moment, everyone felt unsafe and scared, fear showing on their faces. Subconsciously, everyone looked back at Big Sister Wei's direction. Wouldn't it be great if, right now, it were them on silly Big Sister Wei's back? Would she charge ahead like a general, leading his soldiers into war and protecting them? Many people observed Su Luo with their eyes becoming very unfriendly. At this time, Big Sister Wei carried Su Luo on her back, eyes slightly squinting. That scene, just now, she had seen it. In front of the eyes, though a field of mud, but there miraculously appears a few corners of lotus flowers. There being lotus flowers, she could leverage strength to fly over. Big Sister Wei made up her mind. She must bring Su Luo outside. But at that moment, an invisible blade quickly pierced towards Su Luo, roping her body. Because Big Sister Wei focused her energy to the front, she didn't notice getting tied to Su Luo in one spot, silently separating them from others. Quickly, only 3 loops left. 2 loops. One last rope loop. Many people were wide-eyed. Finally, the last rope loop was cut away. It started to fall, quickly fell down. Many people looked forward to this scene. Su Luo only needed to fall down into the dark swamp. She would surely be engulfed by the darkness instantly, not able to move her arms and legs. But who would have known of such a coincidence? Right at this moment, a sudden paw grabbed for Su Luo's heel. Big Sister Wei felt the danger and immediately moved Su Luo in front of her. Oh, a rope? Big Sister Wei looked at Su Luo, then at her empty back. Whose rope was this? The rope obviously fell into the swamp, turning into a pile of powder. Behind Big Sister Wei were many tense faces. Luckily, Big Sister Wei was thick-skinned, quick-thinking, and not deterred. With no rope, Big Sister Wei held on to Su Luo protectively. The eyes of people behind Big Sister Wei widened. Being guarded in her arms, how would they go about this? She couldn't be easily defeated, could she? Seeing Big Sister Wei holding on to Su Luo and wanting to secede, everyone became agitated. Without Big Sister Wei, what will they do now? Because of that, the whole group struggled to persuade Big Sister Wei. Big Sister, how are you so good in character? Aren't you too honest? You are clearly strong. Why carry along such a burden? Yes, without carrying such waste, you would have sooner led us to the 7th floor. Be the best of the downstream mountains, and finish the assessment of the midstream mountain already. Big Sister Wei's face gradually calmed down. Seeing this, everyone quickly responded, Big Sister, don't blame us for being wordy. We truly can't stand to see you carrying the burden like this anymore. We do not mean to disturb you. We just truly feel uneasy inside. It is true. Look at the girl in your arms. She in fact is not unconscious, but is just pretending to be comatose. Following with experience, pretending with such ambition, you have been deceived. Chapter 2095, Unparalleled Elegance 9. The more the group of people tried to persuade her, the more passionately they spoke. They talked so much that their lips were about to crack. But at this moment, Big Sister Wei looked at them with eyes that were slowly turning scarlet, igniting into 2 crimson flames. She raised her wooden club, pointed into the crowd, swung it around, and said word by word, All of you, no one can badmouth little Luo Luo. If you do, go die. Su Luo slowly opened her eyes and got down from Big Sister Wei's shoulder. Her eyes calmly scanned around, coldly looked at everyone, and the corner of her mouth slowly raised into a cold smirk. Little Luo Luo, you're awake? Big Sister Wei became so happy. My legs are still a little weak. I need a while to recover. Su Luo slightly nodded her head. That's good. It's all good as long as you are awake. You don't even know how scared I was when you were unconscious. Big Sister Wei was always straightforward. She didn't have any semblance of a poker face, so all of her emotions were plain to see. Scared? Such a powerful, silly Big Sister Wei would be scared? What kind of joke was this? Everyone shook their head in succession in disbelief. Su Luo smiled, looked at Big Sister Wei, patted her broad shoulders, and comforted her. Everything is going to be fine. I am awake now. Don't be scared. Yes. Silly Big Sister Wei smiled sweetly. Everyone was so stunned that they were about to faint. It seemed that this girl truly thought of herself as some big shot, actually speaking to Big Sister Wei like she was her superior. Big Sister Wei was so silly. Clearly, she got treated so badly, but still considered the other person to be her pillar. Right now, everyone was extremely envious, so much they were going crazy. Because having a super obedient and powerful subordinate like Big Sister Wei was such a blessing. Suddenly, there was a sharp noise. A sharp claw extended out yet again. It was only by working together that everyone managed to force that sharp claw to withdraw and release its pitiful victim. Suddenly, the man who ranked 201 maliciously looked at Su Luo, coldly smirked. Miss, you were unconscious during this entire journey. You didn't put in any effort at all? Don't you feel bad? After the words were spoken, immediately there was silence everywhere. Then everyone burst into discussion right after. Exactly, you didn't put in any effort at all. You were unconscious before, but now that you woke up, don't you think you should be putting in some effort for the team? Miss, as humans, we must talk about morality. Are you just going to reap the fruits of our effort like that so calmly? Don't you feel bad at all? Even though you have thick skin, this is not the way things work. You have held Big Sister Wei back for so long. Big Sister Wei probably wouldn't care because she is a nice person, but you should know how much she has done for you. Each critic treated Su Luo as if she was the worst person alive. Su Luo half closed her eyes and slowly scanned the surroundings. These people's glances were filled with ridiculing, taunting, and jealous expressions. How interesting. But they were correct about something. This was already the 6th level. She did, in fact, get all the way up here while being unconscious. Without having moved her hands even once, her limbs were feeling a little strange. Therefore, she should work out a little bit. If so, shouldn't you tell me what I should do? Su Luo's eyes were smiling, sparkling and deep as a beautiful river. Her hands were clasped behind her back, looking up into the sky as if she was trying to explore its endless mysteries. Chapter 2096, Unparalleled Elegance 10. With such a presence, appearance, and quick-wittedness, she was shockingly beautiful. At this moment, every one of those who originally criticized her went silent. It seemed that even one more sentence was blasphemy against her. Su Luo pulled away from the sky and glanced at them, raised an eyebrow, and smiled. Speak up. What do you want? During this whole journey, it was Big Sister Wei who carried her up. Even if she had to pay back this favor, it would be to Big Sister Wei. It had nothing to do with these idiots. Furthermore, just based on the 5th floor's trial, she had taken out the fallen Red Lotus and saved everyone from disaster. Just for this favor, they should at least kneel 3 times and bow down 9 times to thank her. Yet they still wanted her to return them a favor. This was truly the biggest joke. Su Luo could not be bothered saying all these things to those people. The other party was silent for a long time. They drew close to each other and talked quietly amongst themselves. After a long discussion, the 201st examinee finally said the result. Since you think that you're so great, this trial will be for you to take care of. What do you think? Su Luo's gaze swept across everyone's faces one by one, until they all lowered their heads and dared not to look at her face to face. Then, she lightly threw out a sentence. This is the result of your discussion? Yes. The 201st examinee especially shouted especially loudly and clearly. Great as you wish. Su Luo bursted laughing and clapped away the originally non-existent dust from her hands. Suddenly, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. A melodious voice sounded. The voice was getting more and more resonant. Towards the end, it was practically piercing the eardrum. My head hurts. My soul's about to leave. Oh my God. I can't control myself anymore. I seem to really want to step into this swamp. The man's voice was half sobbing, and he slashed his legs with a dagger, stroke after stroke. Blood would flow out with each cut. It was only by doing so that his mind could be clear for the tiniest second. A slight sneer slid across Su Luo's eyes. After such a long period of soul repair, her previous internal wounds were not completely recovered. However, some good comes out of a setback. The soul essence that she absorbed allowed for her soul to make remarkable leaps in progress. Su Luo's eyes closed slightly. From space, her fair fingers, that were youthful and jade-like, pulled out a white jade whistle. The sky-piercing whistle. She had obtained it from the secret dragon territory. From the time when Ziyin and Bei Chening were about to jump off the magma cliff under the control of the magic sound, Su Luo awakened them with the sky-piercing whistle. At that time, Su Luo's soul was still very weak. Therefore, she almost succumbed to the whistle's melody. Nevertheless, it was different now. Su Luo put the sky-piercing whistle in her mouth and consolidated the power of her soul. Then, a sharp sound broke through the sky. In an instant, heaven and earth changed. The sharp whistle sound destroyed the melodious musical performance of the Guqin and Xiao until there was practically nothing left. The thick fog that was gradually advancing also started thinning and seemed to disperse. At this moment, a fierce magical beast, carrying 300,000 caddies of lightning power, suddenly pounced wildly towards Su Luo. Seeing this, Big Sister Wei, who stood beside Su Luo, used her big wooden club to smash the magical beast's forehead without hesitation. A banging sound echoed. The magical beast's mouth was ruthlessly smashed into a big, drooping lump, and then the magical beast viciously spat out a mixture of blood and teeth. Su Luo gave a thumbs up to Big Sister Wei. This one hit of the wooden club was so formidably powerful that it shocked others. It was not only Su Luo and the examinees that were present. A bunch of people outside the tower were also shocked. Chapter 2097. Revered by thousands. 1. They haven't passed the 6th floor. The outcome is still unknown. The Guardian's face stiffened. Oh, you won't admit defeat? This 6th level tests the power of the soul. I can see that the girl's soul power is extremely formidable. The 6th tone demon won't be able to do anything about her. No, it's that girl who can't do anything about the 6th tone demon. Lung Zhao's ice-cold and mocking voice sounded. The only condition for passing the level is to kill the 6th tone demon. However, as long as it escapes, this group of people has no choice but to stop at the 6th floor. Could the 6th tone demon escape? At this time, countless people held such a question in their hearts. Some people hoped that the 6th tone demon would escape, but most people hoped for the opposite. That's because if this team really stopped at the 6th floor and no one completed the task, then for the next 6 months, there was no way for anyone to participate in the examination, because the Tower of Trials would automatically be closed for 6 months. The look of the Guardian right now was profoundly mysterious and indescribably complicated. If the Tower of Trials ended up closing for 6 months because of the hell mode that he chose, his reputation would be tremendously damaged. However, if Su Luo passed the 6th floor, he would lose the bet he made with old Ning earlier. So, as for how tormented he felt currently, only he himself knew. The ranking outside the tower had basically stabilized. Su Luo, however, was still last place. Inside the tower, Big Sister Wei used her wooden club to violently beat the 6th-toned demon bloody. Originally, nobody could compete with the 6th-toned demon when it came to manipulating the tunes. Now, its tune had been disrupted by Su Luo, after which its attack power was practically negligible. Consequently, it turned around and tried to escape without a trace. Quick, look, it ran away. Go after it. Can't let it run away. Underneath, this is the damn swamp. There is no solid footing anywhere. Who dares to go down? The group was discussing spiritedly among themselves, with the 201st rank person even more exaggeratedly kicking up a racket. Big Sister Wei brandished her big wooden club. She looked hatefully at the 6th-tone demon, who was running in midair and turning its head back just to ridicule everyone. There was a time limit for the examination. Now that most of the time had passed, it was not a wise choice to continue dragging it out with the 6th-tone demon. Nonetheless, no one could do anything to the 6th-tone demon. At this instant, without anyone paying any attention, appearing slowly on Su Luo's soft red lips was a cold sneer. She waved her hand, and 2 wheels appeared in her hand. One was a fiery red, the other was a light blue. At this moment, Su Luo was calmly tying the 2 wheels to her legs. Oh, what is this? Big Sister Wei poked the wheels with her hand. Wind and fire wheels. Su Luo grinned. At this moment, outside of the tower, the corner of old Ning's mouth twitched slightly. The Guardian glanced at the old Ning with a sneer. Wind and fire wheels? Haha, when did old Ning give it to that girl? Old Ning glared at him unhappily. Who doesn't know that this old man put this pair of wind and fire wheels in the Genius Training Camp assessment test? This girl really doesn't do things fruitlessly. She even took this treasure along just for an exam. Although old Ning complained, at this moment, not only was there no displeasure on his face, there was also a touch of unspeakable interest in his eyes. Wind and fire wheels, very good. The entire area was just a swamp, but what did they matter when she had the wind and fire wheels? Chapter 2098. Revered by thousands, too. All of them had experienced the assessment of the Genius Training Camp back then. So, they had naturally all seen the Iron Tower-like puppets with powerful attacking power. These wind and fire wheels are... Number 201 ranked examinee's voice was trembling. I picked them up when I entered the exam. Why? Don't you guys have them? Su Luo raised her eyebrows and said unconcernedly. That item was from the puppet from last assessment. How could you take its possession? Number 2, a one examinee yelled loudly in disbelief. Su Luo spread out her hands. She said with an innocent and confused expression, "No one said I couldn't, and no one retrieved it when I left." Obviously, no one retrieved it. This was because the 3 elders were reprimanded by the first elder, and the others would not say much. The group of people that were around were all at a loss. Was it possible to take the test items? While everyone was at a loss, Su Luo had already put on the wind and fire wheels. The wind wheel could hold people up, and the fire wheel could launch a fierce attack. They complemented each other and were indispensable. With these 2 wheels, Su Luo was practically a tiger that had grown wings. Su Luo's figure had already turned into a white light and quickly burst into the distance, leaving behind only the sound of a whistle. At this time, the 6th-tone demon, who was immensely pleased with itself, only just discovered Su Luo's existence. Aside from being able to attack souls with its demonic tunes, the 6th-tone demon's other attributes were that it had very brittle skin, very low defense, and attack power that wasn't particularly strong. Its only strong attribute was its speed. Su Luo opened her palms, and the Cheng-Ing sword quietly appeared. "Have a taste of my sword." Su Luo held the Cheng-Ing sword and chased it menacingly. The 6th-tone demon looked back. Seeing Su Luo's fierce appearance, it was deathly frightened and instinctively dove into the swamp. That was its world. As long as it got in, the other party will never find it. However, how could Su Luo allow it to do what it wanted? A sword's edge swept across from under it, and the poor 6th-tone demon could only swim upward desperately. If it delayed another moment, its body would be split in half. "Roar!" 6th-tone demon turned its head, gave Su Luo a ferocious look, and then continued to flee. "You still dare to run? Let's see where you can run to." Su Luo held the Cheng-Ing sword and chased it all over the field. For a while, the demon kept running and she kept chasing after it. The scene was abnormally lively. Su Luo's eyes gradually narrowed. Chasing it down like this was not a good solution. There still was a 7th floor above. She needed to conserve enough time and energy to deal with the dangers of that floor. Su Luo's eyes turned slightly to see the direction the 6th-tone demon was moving toward, and quickly made calculations in her head. Soon, a light flashed in her eyes. "Move!" Su Luo shouted in a cold voice. Then her figure quickly disappeared. "Oh, where's she?" She couldn't have fallen into the swamp, right? Impossible. She obviously disappeared in midair. How could she have fallen into the swamp? At this time, many people outside the tower actually knew what was going on. Teleportation. To think that this girl actually has the long-lost teleportation skill. Old Ning was slightly startled. He had treated this girl differently, but he didn't expect this girl to surprise him even more. Teleportation. She must be a space element. Additionally, it is very likely that she also knows gravity techniques. There was an indescribable sinister chill in Lung Zhao's low voice. At this point, Lung Zhao's eyes gradually narrowed. Originally, he held her in contempt, but he now began to attach a sense of importance to her. If she knew the teleportation skill, then she might be a space mage, and she might know gravity techniques. In that case, could it be that his junior brother might really have died in the hands of this girl? Chapter 2099. Revered by Thousands 3, Inside the Tower. When Su Luo's silhouette reappeared, she was firmly standing 100 meters in front of the 6th-tone demon. By the time the 6th-tone demon saw Su Luo, they were only 10 meters apart. Turning its flexible body around quickly, it tried to run away from Su Luo. Running away? Not that easy. Su Luo coldly hummed, "Nothingness of space." Nothingness of space was invisible, but it consistently surrounded the 6th-tone demon and slowed it down by not only a little. At the same time, Su Luo already rushed into the nothingness of space and raised the Cheng-Ing sword into the air. Roar! The 6th-tone demon's eyes were bleeding and felt a wave of fear creeping inside like it had never experienced before. Looking in Su Luo's eyes, it saw the silhouette of death. Knowing it was going to die soon, it released its most mighty and powerful roar. Therefore, right before they let out a sound, click, the six-toned demon was already completely smashed by the Chungying sword. Its round head was rolling down onto the ground, pounding against the floor. In just a moment, the surroundings went quiet. Everyone looked at Su Luo as in complete reverence. Such a speed, such strength, such a simple and decisive swing. Was this the same Su Luo that they were bad-mouthing? The one that came all the way because she was unconscious and someone else brought her here? Even more horrifying was that they were looking down at Su Luo and silly Big Sister Wei. They were also telling silly Big Sister Wei to leave her and loudly telling the girls that without them, the girls were missing out by a lot. As soon as Su Luo made a move, it was as if big, loud slaps on the face, bang, 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 slapping these people till their heads were spinning. This slap was too clear that all of their faces were burning hot. Each time, they thought about what they did and said to Su Luo and Big Sister Wei. They all wanted to suffocate themselves. At the same time, it also caused a big sensation outside of the tower. Gravity technique. It really is the space gravity technique. Lung Xiao formed a fist in his sleeves, and his crescent moon-shaped nail stabbed into his palms. That little girl was unexpectedly hiding her talents. He really looked down on her before. At that moment, there was a scream among the crowd. Quick, look at Su Luo's name. What? Her ranking went from the bottom to 230th just in a moment. This little girl was really hiding her skills. In the past 5 levels, her ranking didn't go up at all, and she climbed above 70 people just now. Witnessing Su Luo's ranking's meteoric rise, everyone was so surprised and couldn't believe in what they just witnessed. But that was the reality. Nobody could change it. It was even harder to believe such events hadn't happened yet. In the uneasy gazes of everyone inside the tower, Su Luo was like an angel coming from the 9th heaven. When she landed on the ground, the environment changed. When they opened their eyes again, they were already on the 7th level. The 201st ranked examinee wanted to go on the front line, but Su Luo smiled faintly. She didn't care about him. The 201st ranked examinee felt his back getting cold and his body stiffening. He turned around and looked at Su Luo. The danger on 7th level? Are you sure you can get everyone out of it? Su Luo slowly asked. The 201st ranked examinee felt his mouth drying up. He couldn't be sure of this. But I can, Su Luo slowly said. My only condition is you give up your position as team leader. Chapter 2100, Revered by Thousands. 4. Therefore, in this assessment, he still thought that he was the best person that would lead everyone to the top. Unexpectedly, who knew this time would be hell mode. Consequently, he struggled. At this moment, everyone stared at the 201st ranked examinee, all thinking the same thing. After going through the 5th and 6th level with Big Sister Wei and Su Luo, they trusted the two of them more than the 201st ranked examinee. The 201st ranked examinee knew that too, but he could only stare at Su Luo. Forming a grudge in his heart, he promised himself that if he found a chance, he would make Su Luo feel his pain. Eventually, he backed off, stood behind Su Luo, and gestured his leader position to her. Su Luo naturally accepted the leader position, leading the other examinees to the 7th level. Suddenly, she stopped walking, turned her head, and asked the other examinees, "Oh right, what type of beast are we encountering on the 7th levels?" These words immediately made everyone stagger, almost losing strength in their legs. Among them was someone with quick reflexes, and he jumped to tell Su Luo. If there aren't any surprises, it will be the 9-eyed demonic spiders. Saint rank 5 stars, 9-eyed demonic spiders. Another one added, but this time it's hell mode, so the 9-eyed demonic spiders will be much more powerful. About how strong the spiders were, they couldn't imagine. However, judging from the 5th or 6th level, everyone else would die. What are your names? Su Luo slowly asked. My name is Rong Jun, a warrior. I'm Yen Mo, an ice mage. Su Luo nodded her head as if she understood. At this point, the 201st ranked examinee looked at Su Luo, waved his hand. If it is already the 7th level, then we will try our best. Even if we lose, we could try again next month. Indeed, Now that they reached the 7th floor, they couldn't be barred from entering the Tower of Trials as a punishment. Su Luo looked at him, then glanced at everyone's faces and smirked coldly. If anyone wants to lose, now is the time to back off. If you don't try to win when we get to the crucial moments, I will deal with you when we get out of the tower. Since she had her own plan, if these people messed up her plan, everything would be for naught. The 201st ranked examinee slightly looked at by Su Luo. His heart was cold, and he clenched his fist even tighter. He closed his eyes to hide his malicious intentions. A 9-eyed demonic spider cave appeared in front of them. However, this 9-eyed demonic spider cave was 2 stories tall. Everyone went dizzy at the sheer size. Su Luo didn't hesitate and led everyone inside. In the team, Su Luo and Big Sister Wei went all the way to the front, and the rest were just following them. Su Luo looked down onto her jade amulet. 270th. This wasn't acceptable. If she wanted to finish this assessment and go to Midstream Mountain, she had to be in the top 3. Judging by her rank right now, it was too far away. The crucial point was before the 5th level, and she didn't put in any effort at all. That's why her ranking was so low. Su Luo was determined. During the 7th level, she had to get to a higher rank. Naturally, this also meant that she was going to work very hard. Perhaps this 7th level would be her own solo performance. Right at this moment, Su Luo's body suddenly stiffened, because not too far away from them, she saw a group of fiery, red, 9-eyed demonic spiders, crowded together producing green poisonous webs. Chapter 2101. Revered by Thousands 5. One person taking on 9 9-eyed demonic spiders by themselves? It was an extremely difficult feat, even he couldn't do such a thing. Yen Mo's tense expression revealed a hint of distress as he shook his head alongside Rong Jun. The 201st ranked examinee sneered. Isn't the captain very powerful? Since she can apparently kill the 6-tone demon with a single sword, I imagine that if she goes against the 9-eyed demonic spider. Before he could even finish his provocation, he saw Su Luo quickly walk forward with the Chung Ying sword in hand. Because of that, the 201st ranked examinee's words came to a stop midway. Seeing Su Luo walk forward, Rong Jun's and Yen Mo's faces changed slightly, and they hurriedly called out, "Everyone, attack together. We must strive to resolve this in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, more 9-eyed demonic spiders will appear." But before he could even move, Big Sister Wei's giant club swung forward, blocking the pathway. "What are you doing?" Rong Jun stared at Big Sister Wei in confusion. Was Big Sister Wei's moron disease happening again? Why was she stopping them when they were going to help? Sister Wei stared at them in silence and shook her head. "The boss can't do it alone. Get out of the way. Are you even her friend?" Rong Jun was anxious. If something happened to the boss, they could just forget about passing this trial. But at this time, the rest of the group suddenly let out a uniform exclamation of surprise. Shocked by the sound, Rong Jun turned towards Su Luo. With a glance, he froze like a statue. Su Luo quickly dashed over. The Chung Ying sword in her hand swung across in a circle, drawing out a sword shadow, hitting 3 9-eyed demonic spiders that fell to the ground dead. Su Luo was then surrounded by the rest of the 9-eyed demonic spiders. People saw her leap upwards before falling headfirst. At the same time, she swung the Chung Ying sword in a circle again. Rat-tat-tat. Another 3 9-eyed demonic spiders fell dead. Upon landing, Su Luo slid back against the ground, avoiding the strongest attacks of the 9-eyed demonic spiders. Then, she leaped up again, stabbing the Chung Ying sword forward. Crack! Another 9-eyed demonic spider died. Seeing the remaining 2 9-eyed demonic spiders unite to attack her, Su Luo's mouth curled up in a smirk and flashed behind the 9-eyed demon spider on the left. With the Chung Ying sword, she stabbed it in its back. Crack! The Chung Ying sword passed through the 9-eyed demonic spider, instantly penetrating the body of the spider in front, stringing them together. Although it seemed to have taken a long time, in fact, all of this happened at lightning speed. Not even in a blink of an eye elapsed. Su Luo slowly withdrew the Chung Ying sword, and upon turning back to her audience, she smiled. Her smile was like that of a bright and sunny day. Yet this smile drove the feelings of her small group of companions into a frenzied chaos, like they had cramps. Was this woman still human? She was way too fast. It wasn't enough that she had single-handedly taken out 9 nine-eyed demonic spiders. She also made it seem so easy. Truly, was this really a person who was only at the 7-star commander rank? Could she actually be a 7-star saint rank instead? Being so stunned by Su Luo's performance, everyone's heads were spinning in confusion. Only the 201st ranked examinee clenched his hand into a fist, the blue veins on the back pulsing and pumping furiously. Did he really want to make such a person his enemy? Did he really have the confidence to defeat such strength? For a moment, the 201st ranked examinee fell into a deep thought. Faced with everyone's confusion, Su Luo only smirked and said, "Let's go." Chapter 2102. Revered by thousands 6. Ba. Su Luo's ranking has moved from 230 to 225. What in the world is going on? Wasn't there more than a dozen people there? Why is her ranking the only one that moved? Are all the others dead? I don't know, damn it. Look, Su Luo's name has moved again. It's 222 this time. No one else's rankings have changed. Is there something wrong with the system? Damn, what the hell is going on? Su Luo's ranking has advanced again, and again at 219. Bah! What are the rest of the people doing standing there? Watching the show? Are they an audience now? They are here for the assessment, not to watch a damn show. The people outside the tower were swearing and cursing, but all their words could be summed up into one sentence. They were shocked by Su Luo. They were all stuck in Downstream Mountain for so long, and had to painstakingly climb up from the bottom point by point. But this girl, Su Luo, you wouldn't know if she was a damned demon child in her previous life. The sheer speed of her rank climbing, TSK. In the beginning, she had been asleep all the way up, and everyone was looking down on her. But who would expect that this girl would be so shocking and perform such a jaw-dropping comeback? This face slap was too cool. Outside the tower, everyone craned their necks, held their breath, and stared at the clear figure on the screen with ever-increasing excitement. They felt that her every move and smile were full of incredible beauty. Inside the tower, except for Su Luo, the rest of the companions were sore on their feet, but they could only be spectators. It was because their leader was too strong and loved individual performances too much. "Boss, are you tired? Do you want to rest a bit?" Rongjun asked with a laugh. Watching the boss cut down these 9-eyed demonic spiders like paper, his hands were itching for some action. Su Luo was surrounded by 10 9-eyed demonic spiders, but she faced no trouble, and even took the time to talk to Rongjun. "I slept for too long before. Now my muscles and bones need warming up. How else can I get tired?" Su Luo's answer immediately made these people laugh. Usually they struggled to fight against the 9-eyed demonic spiders one-on-one. The boss dealt with 10 9-eyed demonic spiders alone, and even said that she was just warming up. Wasn't the skill gap a bit far? At this moment, Su Luo's eyes suddenly wrinkled. "Have you all rested up?" Su Luo glanced at them. Yeah, we're bored to death over here." They all said, "That's good. The little lord of the 9-eyed demonic spiders just came out. Help me take it down." When Su Luo said this, the little lord of the 9-eyed demonic spiders hadn't come out yet, so everyone was at a loss. But they quickly got back to their senses when a sharp cry almost pierced their eardrums. "It's a 9-venom spider." Rongjun looked at the thick green mist in the distance, face pale. This is already the ultimate boss in hell mode. I didn't expect it to be just the little lord here. Yen Mo's eyes flashed solemnly. "Hurry and take these pills," the 201st ranked examinee exclaimed, at the same time taking out a medicine bottle. This was his way of buying people's hearts. "Elite detoxifying pills." Su Luo sneered at the 201st ranked examinee, then threw a medicine bottle at Rongjun. "Master detoxification pills. 1 per person quickly." Chapter 2103. Revered by thousands 7. Is this real? Isn't this too extravagant? Despite being full of doubts, everyone looked kindly towards Su Luo. As there were far too few apothecaries on the mainland, all elixirs from the master level and above were priceless and could not be bought with money or even points. With the master detoxification pill on hand, no one naturally would choose to use the elite pills. As a result, the 201st ranked examinee gripped his bottle of elite detoxification pills so tightly that it almost turned into dust by his own hand. But at this point, who would even care about how he felt? Su Luo called with a clear but cold voice. Big Sister Wei, hold this position. Rong Jun, 5 meters ahead to the left. Yin Mo, 5 meters ahead to the right. Before the leader of the 9 venom spiders charged towards them, Su Luo had already arranged everyone in their proper positions. However, seeing how the 201st ranked examinee stood like an idiot on the edge, Su Luo angrily gave him a shove. If you want to play, guard the corner gate. If not, go somewhere else. Had the 201st ranked examinee ever been scorned like that before? For a moment, he glowered at Su Luo, eyes open wide. Su Luo simply shrugged. Not even giving him a second glance, she was already rushing towards the 9 venom spider leader to grab its attention. The leader was extremely strong. Even without being angered, it is already at 3-star saint rank. Su Luo charged onward. The leader of the 9 venom spiders stood at around 3 meters, much taller than Su Luo. Su Luo ducked, took out a dagger, and aimed for its joints. The leader's defense was very strong, and Su Luo couldn't break it with the Chunging sword. So instead of attacking it head-on, she switched to stabbing its weak joints. A bone-crunching crack filled the room. Su Luo had cut clean through one leg, as another was dangling listlessly from the body of the 9 venom spider leader. The spider howled with rage. Then, it chased after Su Luo relentlessly. Despite its huge size, the 9 venom spider had formidable speed. Its legs crawled swiftly as if it was dancing, and flames continuously erupted from its mouth, wishing to burn Su Luo on the spot. Su Luo didn't lead the 9 venom spider towards Big Sister Wei on the other side, but continued to run, playfully leading it towards herself. Su Luo made good use of her convenient teleportation techniques, appearing for a moment to the east, then to the west. Whenever she was about to get caught by the spider, she immediately teleported and disappeared in an instant, leaving the 9 venom spider burning in rage. And Su Luo was even more mischievous. Each time she rounded the leader of the 9 venom spiders, Su Luo chopped off one of its feet. And when it reeled with anger, she simply slid on the ground and fled. She had always been very fast at running. Therefore, everyone was now witnessing Su Luo slipping and sliding ahead, leaving the poor leader of the 9 venom spiders chasing behind, heaving in anger. The problem is it could never seem to catch up. Not only that it couldn't catch up, its body kept accumulating wounds. The reason Su Luo didn't use the Chunging sword to drill a large hole into the spider was because she knew fully well that this unenhanced sword didn't have enough attacking power. Therefore, she only used this for nonsense, petty attacks. Despite its ridiculousness, her methods are very effective. Before long, of the 8 legs the 9 venom spider had, only one remained after they were all chopped off by Su Luo. And so, the pitiful 9 venom spider has been reduced to a lopsided mound. The companions gazed at Su Luo with wonder. How amazing was that? That was the work of their leader alone. Chapter 2104. Revered by thousands. 8. Yin Mo. Needless to say, this was a possibility. Because from the very start until the end, the leader was simply toying with the 9 venom spider. If this boss was on the previous difficulty setting, would it be stretching it to believe that the team leader could handle the last big boss alone? Rong Jun gazed at their continuously jumping leader with a wondrous look of admiration. Yin Mo replied, maybe if her attack power improves a bit more. Yin Mo had already noticed that Su Luo's shortcomings were in offense. Her speed and agility were unmatched, but because of the limitations of her rank, her attack power was not consistently strong. I heard she is only a teenager. To have such achievements at such a young age, it is simply... Rong Jun shook his head. Jun and the others looked youthful. However, almost all of those who had been able to enter the genius training camp were in fact already at the age of 30 or older. Of course, there were many talented individuals who entered in their teens, such as Fairy Wu Yu. At Downstream Mountain, many were actually in their 50s and above, but since those who had reached commander rank could choose to freeze their appearance at will, many of them chose to maintain a youthful look, making their ages almost indistinguishable at first glance. Nevertheless, Su Luo was truly in her teens. Compared to these folks, she was but a child. At such a young age, her achievements are frankly terrifying. It's hard to fathom what she can do in the future. Compared to Fairy Wu Yu from before, in my opinion, our leader is better. Looking at Su Luo playing with the 9-venom spider, Jun let out a long sigh. It was like how the back waves of Yangtze River were always pushing out the front waves. These older guys were like those front waves that were going to die out on the shore. Today's youth were terribly talented. Suddenly, So Luo's clear but cold voice rang through the air. Everyone, get into position. Prepare to attack. Attack what? Where was the target? Everyone stared at Su Luo in astonishment, with doubt in their eyes. Only Big Sister Wei obediently got into a fighting stance. Right at this moment, bang! A heavy object smashed ruthlessly onto the ground, and its position was right in the middle of the group of people. But no one was hurt, as Su Luo had instructed them all to form a circle. The thing that had fallen to the ground with a smash was none other than the 9-eyed poisonous spider that Su Luo had played with like a rag doll. As soon as it hit the ground, Sister Wei, who had been itching to crush something with her hands, focused her chi down to her dantian and let out an angry roar. She leaped up high, then slammed her ass right down. Crack! The poor 9-venom spider was pinned to the ground by Big Sister Wei's, but while she brandished her giant wooden club, ruthlessly smashing the spider right on the head, Su Luo had been waiting to the side and already drew the Chang'ing sword. Using her most powerful move, she struck the 9-eyed venomous spider. Under the combined power of the two women, the spider foamed at the mouth and died. From Su Luo's call to arms, to the spider spitting up blood and dying, it was over in almost a blink of an eye. The battle was done as soon as Su Luo finished her shout. The other companions looked at each other in dismay, totally unable to react. Wasn't this way too damn fast? Shouldn't they at least be given some time to react? Chapter 2105. Revered by thousands. 9. With such an ability, everyone couldn't help but admire her. They each subconsciously took out their jade amulet. Looking at the rank stated on it, everyone was so shocked that they wanted to cry. Rank 210. Team leader already went up to rank 210. Big Sister Wei, because of her body slam move, went up to rank 202. Team leader, we want to play too. Jun cried. Then that's fine. Come with me. I guarantee I'll let you fight to your heart's content. Su Luo grinned and beckoned him over. Seeing the cunning flashes in the pure and spirited eyes of his team leader, Jun suddenly had a very bad feeling about it. But for the sake of his rank, he decided to risk his life. He was at rank 204, so he had a really high chance of placing in the top 3. After Su Luo's string of individual actions, Su Luo had now secured her position in the team as its absolute leader. Even the 201st ranked examinee couldn't help but admire Su Luo despite his resentment towards her. The fact that she managed to completely oppress a 3-star Saint rank 9 venom spider while at the level of a Commander 7-star level kept him paralyzed in fear. After walking deep inside, they quickly found the second door. After everyone entered, they would meet the second round of 9-eyed venomous spiders. Clearly, the volume of this wave of 9-eyed venomous spiders was much greater than the last. Su Luo simply scanned her surroundings to get a good understanding of their circumstances. She said quietly, "There are approximately 30 9-eyed venomous spiders. Since you want to play here as much as you like." As soon as she was finished, she already swinged her Chang'ing sword and rushed inside. At the same time, Big Sister Wei was at her back, quickly rushed in, yelling and fighting. But each one of these nine-eyed venomous spiders had the strength of someone at the advanced commander rank. They were not that easy to fight. Each of Su Luo's teammates would take a long time just to fight one spider on their own. But Su Luo and Big Sister Wei were different. They were the team's main source of strength. The teammates took 10 amongst themselves, but they depended on the two girls to fight the remaining 20 spiders. Outside of the tower, ever since Lung Xiao saw these mutated, nine-eyed venomous spiders, his eyes had always held an interesting twinkle. A finger on his right hand rubbed a ring on the middle finger of his left hand. His smile was eerie, yet they weren't reflected in his eyes. "What are you smiling about? You look so strange." Old Ning looked at him angrily. Lung Xiao raised his thin lips carelessly with a cold appearance. "I'm smiling because in the end, this girl, Su Luo, will fail because of a lack of final effort." "Ah!" Old Ning smiled so faintly as if he wasn't convinced. "How do you explain that?" Lung Xiao stared at the screen to the right of Su Luo's ranking. With half closing his eyes, the corner of his eyes were slightly raised. "Mutated nine-eyed venomous spiders? It's not possible to kill them all. You're overthinking it. That little girl will definitely find a way." Old Ning had a nonchalant expression. "Old Ning, you believe in that wench so much?" Lung Xiao's eyes darkened. Old Ning touched his chin. A flash of interest appeared in his eyes. "I believe in that girl, but the one I believe in the most is my little friend." "Ah!" Lung Xiao was confused. But Old Ning obviously hasn't told Lung Xiao who that little friend was. The old man faintly smiled and continued watching the screen with keen interest. Originally, he only came because he had been entrusted by his little friend to do something, so he just came to have a look in passing. Unexpectedly, he saw a new rising star. Let's not mention that silly Big Sister Wei, just that Su Luo, Teske, as expected of the person who was sent in by the Lord of the city himself. She was so different from the others. It seems like that wee little girl wouldn't be worry-free anytime soon. Chapter 2106. Revered by thousands. 10. Su Luo put all of her attention onto the mutated nine-eyed venomous spiders. Even though she seemed like it wasn't hard, in reality, she was struggling to even stand back up. These nine-eyed venomous spiders' attack strength were very powerful. If there wasn't gravity space slowing the spiders down, Su Luo would probably be beaten hard. Despite having gravity space's help, Su Luo was still struggling. At this moment, there were 10 nine-eyed venomous spiders surrounding her. Su Luo knew, if they were still surrounding her like this, the loser would definitely be her. If so, then she chose to win over them all. Su Luo teleported. Her body quickly rushed behind a mutated nine-eyed venomous spider and directly stabbed it with the Chung Ying sword. As she pulled back her sword, Su Luo felt slightly relieved. It was pretty good. Finally, she killed one. If she killed one, then there would be one less to worry about. The pressure on her would be lighter later on. Thinking that, Su Luo smiled faintly. But very quickly, her smile froze at the corner of her mouth. Because she realized at the bottom of the nine-eyed venomous spider that she had just killed was 4 big eggs. Su Luo's eyes squinted a little bit and suddenly had a bad feeling. Right at this moment, those 4 eggs hatched all together, with tiny spiders flying out. Furthermore, because these nine-eyed venomous spiders were small and jumped quickly, it was really hard for Su Luo to hit the target. Su Luo threw a fireball over, but they already dodged it. TCH. This speed was really too fast. Right at this moment, another nine-eyed venomous spider attacked Su Luo, quickly bringing her back into the circle of spiders. All of these troubles were fine until the rest of the nine-eyed venomous spiders started laying their eggs. Their bottoms were slightly raised and bang, bang, bang. 3 to 4 eggs were laid. Few seconds later, the eggs were hatched. The tiny nine-eyed venomous spiders were happily jumping out and joined the battle. Su Luo. The spiders were insanely quick at reproducing, almost like a disaster. As Su Luo encountered this problem, so did everyone else, because all of these mutated, nine-eyed venomous spiders knew how to lay eggs. Rongjun screamed at Su Luo, Leader! Leader! They know how to lay eggs. Furthermore, Inside the eggs are tiny spiders that have mouthfuls of poison. These tiny spiders had small heads, moved quickly, and loved to bite humans' thighs, which made the teammates continuously fail to fight, continuously back up, almost as if they couldn't take it anymore. Su Luo's head started to hurt. Her situation was worse than theirs. They each only have 1 nine-eyed venomous spiders while Su Luo had 10 by herself. If you wanted to talk about the amount of eggs being laid, she had 10 times the amount they had. Their team leader wasn't a god. Su Luo scratched her head. She must quickly come up with a method to kill them all. Team leader, there isn't much time left, only half an hour. If we didn't win in half an hour, we would fail our mission. Rongjun screamed. At this moment, suddenly there was a scream right near them. Su Luo turned around to look. It was from the 201st ranked examinee. Seeing Su Luo's glance, the 201st ranked examinee slowly raised a malicious smile. Team leader, so sorry. I can't continue anymore. I will leave first. The 201st ranked examinee already decided. He knew that Su Luo must win this time, but he didn't have to. If he couldn't win it this time, he could just try again next month. Furthermore, if he left now, he could destroy Su Luo's plan. Therefore, he wasn't hesitating at all when he left. Then he surrendered. His body flashed into a beam of white light and disappeared from the Tower of Trials. At the same time, the teammates who were here with the 201st ranked examinee all left Su Luo fighting alone and surrendered in succession. Chapter 2107. Stunning the Audience 1. Su Luo, Big Sister Wei, Rongjun, Yin Mo, and Xiaoding. Damn, what's wrong with them? How could they retreat at this time? Don't they have any sense of the whole situation? Despicable. Rongjun was anxious, hitting several fists into the wall. He had been working hard and had the ultimate chance to take victory. However, now it was completely gone. How could he not be angry? Although Yin Mo didn't speak, his thin lips were tightly pressed. He was obviously very unhappy. Xiaoding's fists were squeezed tightly, his face trembling in anger. He felt so ashamed of their boss who had come from downstream mountain. At this moment, the people outside the tower were all dumbfounded when they saw the 201st ranked examinee's choice. Until they saw the 201st ranked examinee appearing in front of them unharmed, and everyone's face changed. This 201st ranked examinee is too unreliable when doing things, right? It's the last level anyway. If you don't work hard, you should just retire. Such a person was ranked first place in Downstream Mountain? I feel so ashamed. That's right. If this news is spread out, won't people be laughing out loud? Everyone, look at the first few levels. If it weren't for the 2 people who came from Distal End Mountain, our Tower of Trials would be closed for the next 3 consecutive years. You can't say that. Who forced those 2 people to expose themselves? Isn't this making other people jealous? I can still understand the 201st ranked examinee's approach. Since everyone can't complete their own task, then let those 2 people fail their task. It's human nature. Thus, many people were openly discussing it in front of the 201st ranked examinee. The 201st ranked examinee felt that his presence wasn't necessary and was about to hurriedly leave with a group of subordinates, but then heard Old Ning calling for him. That's it? You don't want to know how they will clear the level? Old Ning folded his hands together, smiling amiably, but with a hint of sarcasm flashing across his eyes. Clear the level? The 201st ranked examinee stopped, turned around, and looked directly at Old Ning. Old Ning nodded calmly. Obviously, they can pass the level. Do you think that they can't pass the level without you? The 201st ranked examinee stiffened, and then coldly glared at Old Ning. Old Ning smiled lightly. Why don't we make a bet? The Guardian and Lung Xiao both silently looked at Old Ning. If this old man couldn't bet, would he die? He just took 2 pieces of soul essences from them, and yet he still wanted to block the way and rob some more? Old Ning smiled at the 201st ranked examinee and lifted up the corners of his mouth mockingly. I'll bet on whether they can pass the level. How about a piece of soul essence? You're 1 for my 2. If the old man loses, I will pay double. The 201st ranked examinee clenched his fists tightly and wondered if this damned old man was deliberately provoking him. He did have a piece of soul essence, but even after all these years, he had only managed to save one piece. Was he really going to take a gamble now? If he lost, he would die in distress. Or do you think they will pass the last level? Old Ning turned around to ask the Guardian. This is your person in Downstream Mountain, hmm? The 201st ranked examinee had a strong and resilient temperament. How could he withstand this kind of humiliation? So, he smiled blankly and took out a soul essence. Okay, let's make a bet. Who is afraid of whom? A sly smile flashed across Old Ning's fox-like eyes. Originally, he had wanted to prepare 3 soul essences himself. But now, everything was fine. Furthermore, after watching a play, he managed to get 3 soul essences from tricking 3 people, which indeed saved him some money. Old Ning stared at Su Luo's name with a smile and stroked his sparse white sheep's beard. Chapter 2108. Stunning the audience. Finally, several people in the group looked at Su Luo. Rong Jun spoke up first. Leader, we can't handle these mutant, nine-eyed, venomous spiders. Should we just give up? Rong Jun felt they wouldn't be able to handle it even with the big group of people they had originally. Now, with only 5 of them left, how could they win? So, he already had the intention to retreat deeply rooted in his heart. At the same time, Yenemo looked at Su Luo silently, with his thin lips pressed into a white line. Confronted with this matter, he had lost all hope. With only 5 people facing so many nine-eyed venomous spiders, this was simply an impossible task. So, they should just give up instead. Meanwhile, Big Sister Wei had a carefree expression. She didn't need to think much about anything or worry about anything. All she had to do was follow Su Luo's instructions. Su Luo was Big Sister Wei's brain. Su Luo just had to point her finger at something, and Big Sister Wei would swing her big wooden club at it. Su Luo looked at them blankly. Do you think that we will definitely lose? Rong Jun and Yin Mo looked at each other. They were all in this situation now, but she thought they still had a chance at winning. Was their leader joking? They did not answer Su Luo's question, but their eyes conveyed their meaning. Unexpectedly, Su Luo smiled slightly. You are too unconfident. Without those idiots, our advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Ah! Rong Jun's brain instantaneously reacted. How is it a good thing that those people ran away? Su Luo seemed to have guessed what he was thinking and said with a smile, Of course, it is a good thing. Without them, I don't need to pay attention to whether they might backstab us. Isn't that a good thing? But Rong Jun swallowed and avoided looking at Su Luo as he emphasized again. We only have 5 people, but there are so many of the nine-eyed venomous spiders, and they're so hard to kill. At this time, Rong Jun and Yin silently watched as more and more nine-eyed venomous spiders gathered towards them, and they felt very uncertain about what Su Luo had said. Suddenly, the nine-eyed venomous spiders quickly encircled them. Every spider was huge and vicious, with a fierce and hungry look shining in their eyes. Just as Su Luo and the others aimed to kill the nine-eyed venomous spiders, these nine-eyed venomous spiders were also aiming to massacre all the humans present. Rong Jun retreated several times. There was panic and fear written all over his face. Outside the tower, many people showed regretful expressions. Oh, they managed to climb to the 7th level with great difficulty, but this is a failed attempt, right? It's such a shame. If the 201st ranked examinee were still with them, they might still have a chance at winning. Now, Su Luo and the others won't be able to win unless the heavens open their eyes. Everyone outside the tower felt that Su Luo was doomed this time, and that she would definitely die. Did Su Luo herself think so? At this time, Su Luo's mouth slowly turned into a sneer, and a fiery antenna rose in her eyes. Rong Jun stood next to her, feeling extremely anxious. Leader, what do we do? We are about to be surrounded. With so many nine-eyed venomous spiders surrounding them, Rong Jun's legs went soft just thinking about what might happen next. Your attacks won't do much damage, but your speed isn't bad. Su Luo looked at them with a smile because she knew that these people were all wind elements. But we can't run for more than a few minutes. Additionally, what's the point of just running about? Jun was about to cry, feeling that his attribute wasn't good at all. Chapter 2109. Stunning the audience. 3. Su Luo looked calmly at Jun. Now, you can take care of 5 nine-eyed venomous spiders. You don't need to attack. All you have to do is run as fast as you can for 3 minutes, okay? Jun looked at the group of nine-eyed venomous spiders, and then at Su Luo. He looked at Su Luo's clear, lucid eyes that seemed as if they had been immersed in water, and suddenly his heart settled down. He patted his chest and said loudly, "Only 3 minutes? If I can't even do this, I might as well eat shit." "Very good, go quickly," Su Luo ordered with haste. Jun approached the nine-eyed venomous spider skeptically. He could vaguely guess Su Luo's thoughts. If they lured away most of the nine-eyed venomous spiders, then the pressure on her and Big Sister Wei would be reduced. She was using the tactic of divide and kill. But 3 minutes, what could she do in only 3 minutes? Could she even finish killing one spider? Jun felt that Su Luo's method was unlikely to succeed. But what if it didn't work? Now this was the only way. Jun criticized the idea while running fast because these 5 nine-eyed venomous spiders were not playing around. Moreover, their speed was very fast. Jun drew away 5 of them, and then Su Luo asked Yan Mo and Xiao Ding as well to each draw away 5 nine-eyed venomous spiders. They didn't need to kill them. The only thing they needed to do was to string them along like a kite and run around for 3 minutes. Anyway, the venue was huge enough, so they could just run around randomly. After 15 were drawn away, there were only 5 left in front of Su Luo and Big Sister Wei. Good. Very good. At this time, Big Sister Wei was already gearing up to fight and only needed Su Luo to give an order. Su Luo looked at Big Sister Wei with a smile and only said one sentence: "Launch your strongest attack and go all out to kill them as quickly as possible." This was what Big Sister Wei was waiting for. After receiving the order, Big Sister Wei's entire being seemed to radiate brilliance, waving her big wooden club around and yelling, and then rush forward. At this time, Su Luo didn't worry about much, and she also went all out. Fortunately this time, the fallen Red Lotus had already awakened, and after swallowing the crystal core of the 6th-tone demon, its strength was much stronger. Su Luo and Big Sister Wei cooperated with great rapport. Su Luo used nothingness of space to trap a nine-eyed venomous spider, and the fallen Red Lotus spouted out a flame. The burning nine-eyed venomous spider was dazed and furious. At this moment, Big Sister Wei smashed its head with her big wooden club. All Su Luo had to do was to capture, and all Big Sister Wei had to do was to kill wildly. With such cooperation, the rate at which they were killing the nine-eyed venomous spiders was steadily increasing at a rapid speed. Not only did their speed of killing monsters increased, but Su Luo's ranking also swiftly rose. 3 minutes passed. Jun rushed. By this time, Jun had already run a lap. He looked very miserable. His clothes were scorched, his hair was messy, his whole head was dripping with sweat. As he staggered and swayed from side to side, the nine-eyed, venomous spiders behind him were almost about to catch up to him. From a very far distance, Jun yelled at Su Luo, "Boss, quickly save me. I'm about to be caught. I'm about to be scorched to death." Because these nine-eyed venomous spider also breathed fire, the intensity of their fire was fierce, and all the clothes on the Jun's back had been completely burned till there was nothing left. Chapter 2110. Stunning the audience. 4. Seeing Jun's appearance made Su Luo burst into laughter. "Clean it. Are you still in the mood to laugh? I'm about to be burned to death." Jun desperately ran towards Su Luo and the others. When he saw the dead, nine-eyed, venomous spiders lying straight and stiff on the ground, his eyes opened so wide that they were pretty much round. 3 minutes. They had killed 5 spiders in just 3 minutes. Wasn't this too freaking fast? Wasn't their strength too formidable? Su Luo and Big Sister Wei came forward to take on the 5 nine-eyed venomous spiders behind Jun. They fought with the same team tactic as before. Su Luo used the nothingness of space and fallen Red Lotus, which made the other party lose their mind, and then Big Sister Wei rushed forward and smashed the head of the nine-eyed venomous spiders. The nine-eyed venomous spiders were smashed until their heads split open with brains and blood spurting out violently. Watching this brutal scene made Rong Jun's jaw tense and gut churn. Painting, he gave Big Sister Wei a thumbs up. Big Sister Wei was really the most violent person he had ever met. She was incredible. After Su Luo's side killed 2 more nine-eyed venomous spiders, the distraction team, led by Yin Mo, also returned. Compared to Rong Jun's miserable state, Yin Mo's situation was much better. However, Su Luo looked at the paleness of Yin Mo's face and knew that his run was also likely to have been quite terrible. Su Luo commanded Rong Jun, "Hurry up and help your buddy for a while. It won't take long this time. We only have 2 more to kill here. It will be enough if you delay those remaining 3 spiders for 1 minute." At this time, Rong Jun had doubled his confidence in Su Luo and Big Sister Wei. Hearing that they only needed 1 minute, he immediately banged his chest. "Leader, you can count on me." Without saying anything else, he took Yin Mo's stick and brought the group of feeble-minded, nine-eyed venomous spiders to run around in circles. So, Yin Mo had time to take a break and catch his breath. Like Rong Jun's previous expression, he was still dumbfounded again after seeing the amazing efficiency of Su Luo and Big Sister Wei's great teamwork in their killing operation. This was happening too fast. Those nine-eyed venomous spiders were no ordinary demonic beasts, but rather demonic beasts of the saint rank. The saint rank? How could it be as simple as cutting radishes and Chinese cabbage in their hands? Yin Mo was deeply shocked. While waiting for Xiao Ding to bring the group back, Su Luo and Big Sister Wei had already cleaned up all the nine-eyed venomous spiders in their hands, so they easily took over from Xiao Ding and continued with their massacre of the nine-eyed venomous spiders. Watching this scene, Xiao Ding was simply speechless. Not only were Xiao Ding and the others shocked, but the people outside the tower were all dumbfounded by the inhuman speed of Su Luo and Big Sister Wei. Is this freaking real? There's nothing wrong with my eyes, right? Or is there something wrong with the system screen? They kill more than half of them so quickly? Your eyes are working fine, and the system is also fine. Those 2 are the ones that have problems. What do you need to do to become so fast? The 201st ranked examinee is going to cry now. Momentarily, all eyes were focused on the 201st ranked examinee's face. The 201st ranked examinee's face looked as if it was shrouded in ice. His face was ashen, and he was so angry that he almost jumped violently. Despicable. It turned out that the 2 of them had been hiding their true strengths all this time. Was this to deliberately make a fool out of him? At this moment, the 201st ranked examinee's hatred for Su Luo increased somewhat again. She had become his mortal enemy, whom he would fight until his last breath. At the same time, in the tower, Su Luo and Big Sister Wei had cooperated to kill all the nine-eyed venomous spiders. "Boss, the big ones are all killed. How do we deal with these little ones? Their mouths are very venomous." Rong Jun jumped up and down anxiously. Chapter 21:11. Stunning the audience. 5. What kind of pills are these? They look so beautiful. Rong Jun looked at the pills in his hand. He even still had the mood to study them. Emperor detoxification pills. Su Luo scoffed unhappily while killing these tiny flea-like, nine-eyed, venomous spiders. Emperor level detoxification pills? Rong Jun almost buckled to the ground. Aren't they just Emperor level detoxification pills? Su Luo said indifferently. Over at Big Sister Wei's side, she had already gobbled up all her Emperor detoxification pills like they were sugar beans. Rong Jun. Since when were Emperor detoxification pills so cheap that you could just casually give them away like this? Shouldn't these pills be treated as treasured objects that you kept away and wouldn't even tell your family about? Su Luo looked at him angrily. Why aren't you swallowing them yet? Do you want to die? Rong Jun was right. These tiny, flea-like, nine-eyed, venomous spiders were extremely venomous. Moreover, they were so tiny. With the way they bounced around at people's feet, you would get bitten with just a moment of carelessness, and the master-level detoxification pills wouldn't be of much use at all. At this moment, Su Luo let out a big sigh. Weren't those big, nine-eyed venomous spiders way too good at reproducing? They actually managed to lay hundreds and even thousands of eggs in just a short period of time. Additionally, the incubation speed of these eggs made Su Luo's mouth twitch. This was practically an instant incubation rate. Before the old ones were dealt with, the new ones had already hatched. Furthermore, right after they hatched, their strength was unexpectedly good. The most important thing was their speed. Their wind-like evasion speed really made Su Luo's head hurt. Outside of the tower, this time many people were really astonished. They originally thought that Su Luo was sure to lose this time, and that there was certainly no chance for her to turn the tables. No one expected that Su Luo would ultimately actually employ the divide and conquer method to eliminate the enemy one after another. Furthermore, Su Luo's fighting strategies gave them very good insight on how to pass future trials and clearly showed them the way. For a moment, many people extremely admired Su Luo. Yet there was someone who was unconvinced, and they jumped out at this time. This person was the extremely furious 201st ranked examinee. Yeah, they did indeed kill all the big nine-eyed venomous spiders, but so what? Right now, they have less than 10 minutes left. All of their faces show they are currently tired. Can they kill all the tiny nine-eyed venomous spiders within the remaining time? The moment those words emerged, everyone became unsure. This was because if it were them, they certainly wouldn't be able to finish within that time. Killing more than 1,000 tiny, nine-eyed venomous spiders in 10 minutes? Was this possible? Could Su Luo and the others do it? Many of the people present were having these kinds of doubts, so they all looked at the screen with anticipating yet complicated gazes. Inside the tower, looking at the tiny nine-eyed venomous spiders jumping around at his feet, Rongjun really wished he could kill them with his glare. These tiny beasts were extremely venomous and extremely terrifying. Furthermore, these small targets could also jump around and were really hard to kill. At this moment, Rongjun eagerly looked over to Su Luo. Leader, time is almost up. What should we do? There are still so many tiny beasts. Yan Mo glanced at Su Luo weakly. Carrying a trace of despair in his tone, he said, "We simply can't kill all of these beasts." Xiao Ding's shoulders drooped down, and he clenched his small fists tightly, with sadness appearing in his eyes. Are we really going to fail so close to the end one? We clearly tried so hard. A sorrowful mood covered the entire 7th level. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Su Luo actually lifted the corners of her mouth and grinned. What are you doing? It's still not yet the time for you to despair. All of you with your disheartened looks. Who are you showing them to? Not the time to despair. Rongjun looked eagerly at Su Luo with wide eyes. Leader, you definitely have a way, right? Chapter 21:12. Stunning the audience. 6. Su Luo spread out her hands. If there is no solution, then we should come up with one. If the conditions don't support it, then we will create ones that do. Is there any other way around it? Saying this sentence was like saying nothing. The problem was, what solution was there? What conditions were they supposed to create? Another minute just passed by. Elder sister, Rongjun was so anxious that he was going crazy. Su Luo was still smiling calmly and unhurriedly as her finger pointed at the narrow trail ahead. Look, the solution is right there. When she came in earlier, Su Luo had carefully observed the entire layout of the environment, so she had long since been well aware of the entire terrain. The trail was one that was inside a mountain. Similar to a tunnel, it passed through the entire mountain, but it was extremely narrow. Based on a visual estimation, it only allowed one person to pass through at a time. All of the beasts from before had been humongous and completely unable to fit into that trail. So Rongjun and the others hadn't led the nine-eyed venomous spiders to run that way. At this time, when Su Luo pointed at that trail, Rongjun obeyed in his mind, but still remained extremely confused. What was the use of that small trail? Rongjun was at a loss, and Yen Mo's ink-black eyes were blank. The people inside the tower were confused, and the people outside were also just as confused. Nobody understood what Su Luo had up her sleeve one. However, it was precisely because they couldn't figure it out that they were so curious. And because they were so curious, everyone's attention was on Su Luo's face right now. They wanted to get clues from her expression. Su Luo told Rong Jun and the others, "Thanks for your hard work. Sit here and rest. We'll handle everything else." The time was already running out. How could they sit down and rest? Rong Jun said anxiously, "Leader, we won't rest. We'll help kill however many of the beasts we can." Yen Mo and Xiao Ding also agreed. Surprisingly, Su Luo smiled and waved her hand. "You don't need to. The speed of these tiny fleas is really fast, making it very hard for you to attack them. If you want to kill them the regular way, you won't be done even by tomorrow morning." Then how could they kill it? Rong Jun was filled with doubt. Su Luo smiled. Turning around, she took out a bottle of water and handed it to Big Sister Wei. After that, she whispered a few lines in Big Sister Wei's ear and then said, "Understand." "Understood." Big Sister Wei answered loudly and opened that bottle of water. With a splash, she poured it all over her face and head. Big Sister Wei's straightforward actions immediately made everyone else even more bewildered. What was this Big Sister Wei doing? Why did she pour water onto her face? The important point was just what was she planning to do after pouring all that water onto her face? With such questions in mind, all eyes and attention were concentrated on Big Sister Wei. Consequently, while taking along everyone's doubts, Big Sister Wei started getting down to business. She didn't do anything else. She just ran around the place jubilantly. Many people watched Big Sister Wei like they were looking at a fool. This Big Sister Wei wouldn't so coincidentally be having a relapse at this time, right? This joyful running. Just what is she trying to do? Yet very quickly, they became aware of what she was doing. As Big Sister Wei was happily running around the whole area, countless tiny nine-eyed venomous spiders were following behind her with jolting buttocks. They stumbled about, running after her blindly too. Moreover, this group was slowly growing larger and larger, ultimately gathering all the nine-eyed venomous spiders in the area. As if they had been brainwashed, all of them were lined up and chasing right behind Big Sister Wei's back. At that moment, everyone was stunned. Just how the heck did they manage to do this? The tiny nine-eyed venomous spiders have weak attacks, but they are extremely fast. Their evasion speed is fast, so it is difficult to kill them. But now, as Big Sister Wei released the light ball, all the energy went into the passageway with an explosive burst. Inside the completely packed passageway, the little nine-eyed venomous spiders that were stacked in rows fell backwards one by one like dominoes. What an amusing scene! Moreover, as the ones at the front fell back, they directly pushed down the ones behind them. The spiders were pressed down like this, layer by layer. Thus, the spiders in the back rows simply could not get up. Not only could they not get up, but they also couldn't move. This passageway was very narrow. The front was blocked by Big Sister Wei, and the back was guarded by Su Luo. This basically was like catching turtles in an urn. At this time, Su Luo smiled slowly. She curled the corners of her lips and asked the little red lotus in her mind, "Are you ready?" There was a hint of excitement in her voice. "Ready. Ready to set off at any time." The little red lotus was excited as he waved his hand forward. Chapter 21:14. Stunning the audience, good. The little red lotus instantly turned into a ray of orange-red flame. This velocity of the orange-red flame was incredibly fast. A bright light rushed into the narrow passage, as fast as a cannonball. Little Red Lotus, the first flame born from heaven and earth, had outgrown its infancy state. How terrifying was its strength? It was darting in, and wherever it passed, flames spread into the surroundings. The nine-eyed venomous spiders, which was originally like a small flea, was instantly incinerated into scorched ash. When Little Red Lotus flew from Su Luo to Big Sister Wei, the dense group of little nine-eyed venomous spiders in the passage had all been burned to ashes. Tick-tock. Time went by every second. The people outside the tower couldn't see the scene in the small passage. They only saw Su Luo and Big Sister Wei both were standing still on the spot. So, they started talking. Aren't the spiders trapped inside? Why don't those two kill them? There is only 1 minute left. It will be too late if they don't kill those spiders. Is there anything wrong here? Inside the tower, Rongjun also asked Su Luo. Why don't you kill them? Su Luo spreaded her hands calmly and blinked innocently. It's over. Huh? Rongjun's eyes widened. Finished? When? Rongjun ran over quickly then. Looking at the end of the tunnel, he could see Big Sister Wei was on the opposite side. As for inside of the passage, nothing was left except a pile of ashes. Damn! Rongjun almost jumped up excitedly. When did these spiders burn? He was standing not far from Su Luo, but he didn't notice anything at all. Just when Rongjun was excited and everyone outside the tower was puzzled, all of a sudden, the Tower of Trials rang with a sharp sound. What is it? At this moment, Su Luo's ranking jumped frantically. Whoosh! Whoosh! 205, 204, 203, 202, 201. Her ranking skyrocketed. None had ever seen the top 10 rankings change that fast. This phenomenon really made everyone's heartbeat beat faster, and they were jumping wildly. It's 201, 201 SD. Darn, this is ridiculous. She just came from the distal end mountain. Shouldn't she be falling behind us? But she went straight to the first, and she will be able to go to the midstream mountain afterwards. Won't she also pass the Tower of Trials assessment in the midstream mountain, and then go directly to the upstream mountain? Darn it, I've seen a pro, but I haven't seen a pro who is so arrogant. Outside the tower, many people were thrilled. They might never be able to witness a scene like this ever again. At this moment, someone suddenly reacted. Hey, didn't you find out? At the last moment, didn't Su Luo stand there in a daze and didn't move? How did she finish the task? Yeah, what was going on? Many people had a huge question mark in their heads. If Su Luo didn't say it, they might never get to know about this mystery. Later on, this became one of the top 10 mysteries in the history of the downstream mountain. The second of the top 10 mysteries is what kind of water Big Sister Wei used to attract the little nine-eyed venomous spiders. In the previous assessments, there were indeed candidates who did what Su Luo did, but they couldn't lead all the nine-eyed venomous spiders to the small passage. Of course, this situation was something else. Chapter 21:15. The Oriole Hiding Behind 1. In the beginning, Big Sister Wei's inaction and Su Luo's meditative state were the targets of contempt and disdain from countless people. Then, when Big Sister Wei sprang into action, many people raised their eyebrows in surprise. In the end, Su Luo outshone everyone else and became the winner of Downstream Mountain. Everything resembled a wonderful play. The unexpected events occurred rather unpredictably, and it was endlessly wonderful and exciting. The emotions of the spectators outside the tower followed along, fluctuating between despair and hope numerous times until the system announced Su Luo's victory. As Su Luo and her team exited the Tower of Trials, all eyes were fixed on her, wondering. Then the whispers followed. Su Luo really is amazing. I heard she is only in her teens. Yet at such a young age, she has accomplished such an achievement. Yeah, they started out so badly that I never would have expected them to perform so shockingly well in the end. For us, we may not necessarily be able to cross a mountain even after a decade or longer, but she crossed 2 mountains successively in just a month. If she was able to pass another Tower of Trials assessment in Midstream Mountain and gain 3 consecutive championships, her name would be forever engraved on the Hall of Honor. Fairy Wuyu is also very impressive initially, but she pales in comparison with Su Luo. Yes, although Fairy Wuyu is also very good, she only passed 1 Tower of Trials assessment in a month, unlike Su Luo, who continuously passed 2 Tower of Trials assessments. So, is Su Luo actually more powerful than Fairy Wuyu? Well, that isn't necessarily true. Fairy Wuyu is already in the top 50s and may improve in the next assessment. Su Luo is only ranked 201 now, which is still very far behind. For a moment, the speculation grew extremely intense. The spectators heaped praises and compliments of all sorts on Su Luo. Su Luo heard every compliment they made. An ordinary person in her shoes would definitely be on cloud nine. However, calm that person might be, humans were vain creatures. How could you not enjoy being praised? However, what was rare was that Su Luo remained calm from her heart to her facial expressions. There had been absolutely no change in her face or the slightest ripple in the depths of her eyes, as if all these had nothing to do with her. Old Ning looked at Su Luo with a slight smile in his eyes. This little girl's gaze was indeed pretty good. It was just barely enough to persuade him to personally undertake the task of presenting her these soul essences. At the same moment, Su Luo walked straight towards the area where Old Ning was standing. This time, she had a faint smile on her lips. Her footsteps were light, and her skirt did not flutter at all, but the steps were quick. Su Luo stood in before the guardian, smiling faintly as she looked directly at him. The guardian narrowed his eyes slightly and asked, "Is anything the matter?" The corner of Su Luo's lips curled. "Does this count as me having passed this Tower of Trials assessment of downstream mountains?" "Naturally," said the guardian concisely. "I heard that if you passed this level, there would be a reward. Have you perhaps forgotten?" Su Luo already knew that the guardian did not have a good impression of her, so she didn't bother with a respectful attitude. The guardian's brows furrowed, as he had yet to meet such a brazen candidate. Old Ning stroked his beard and chuckled. "Yes, there should be a reward. Why don't you take it out and show it to us? It's not yours anyway. Why are you hiding it?" Everyone was curious after hearing what Old Ning said, and shifted their gaze to the guardian. The guardian almost flew into a rage out of humiliation. Chapter 21:16. The Oriole hiding behind, 2. The boy gave Su Luo a spiteful glare on behalf of his master, then slowly took out a small box from the bag and handed it to Su Luo. Su Luo happily took the box and opened it. Very good. Senior brother Luo truly kept his word and did not try to deceive her again. With this communication amulet, she could contact Ziyin and the others more often and know their situation at any time. She wouldn't have to worry about them like she did now. After taking the communication amulet, Su Luo turned to leave, but was stopped by Old Ning. "Wait, little girl." With a wave, 3 soul essences appeared in Su Luo's hands. This Su Luo raised her head in surprise and puzzledly stared into Old Ning's eyes. She did in fact need 3 soul essences to repair her soul, but how did Old Ning know? Why did he choose to give them in person? And why were there exactly 3 of them? Wow, seeing how Old Ning gave away 3 soul essences without any hesitation, many people gasped in shock. What kind of relationship did Old Ning have with this girl? How could he give out such an expensive gift so easily? It must be known that soul essences were treasures that they weren't eligible to buy at the time. For a while, everyone looked at Su Luo in perplexion. Old Ning laughed softly. "These 3 essences were bet on you, so just accept them." "Bet?" Su Luo's eyes widened. "Yes." Old Ning pointed to the pale-faced guardian, and to Lung Xiao, who was flushed in embarrassment, and said with a smile, "2 of them were contributed by these 2. One said you couldn't pass the 5th level, and the other bet that you couldn't pass the 6th. As for the last one," Old Ning pointed his finger at the 201st ranked examinee again, and smiled at Su Luo. "The last one was contributed by him, who considered money as trash. He bet that you would be swept out of the 7th floor. TSK, how unexpected this result is." The 201st ranked examinee clenched his fists. He couldn't wait to attack Old Ning. He was unmoved when he beat others up, but Old Ning's words struck right at the core of his pride. What was left of his reputation on downstream mountain in the future? Thinking of this, the 201st ranked examinee turned his spiteful and venomous look onto Su Luo. The Master Guardian and Lung Xiao didn't look any better. Losing the soul essence was just a minor loss, and it shall be forgotten after some time. But to be humiliated like this in front of everyone. Old Ning also understood what they were thinking as soon as he saw their faces, and chuckled contentedly at Su Luo. "So, As you have clearly won, don't these belong to you now? This old man isn't going to rob anything off from you. Su Luo instantly cracked a grin. The old man was quite an interesting figure. Su Luo curled her lips. If that is the case, I will gladly accept them. I just do not understand why you would want to help me. A little friend asked me to keep an eye on you, but after seeing your performance, old Ning stroked his beard and nodded with a smile. Even without my friend's request, this old man will not be stingy. Su Luo liked this subtle praise. As a result, her mood improved. The corners of her mouth curled. I wonder who that little friend of yours is. You know full well who it is in your heart. Old Ning suddenly seemed to remember something. His eyes brightened, and he stared at the guardian. The guardian was greatly uncomfortable at being examined, so he gave the old man a bitter look. What is it? Chapter 21:17. The Oriole hiding behind 3. The guardian pretended not to know. You clearly need someone to remind you. Do you think you can bully this little girl as she doesn't know anything? I won't let that go. You can bully others, but not this girl. Old Ning said aggressively. The guardian turned his eyes and wanted to leave. The lottery. Old Ning reminded the guardian coldly. The newcomer has gone through 2 consecutive levels, Hell Mode, and so rewarded a chance to draw a lottery. Let me remind you, surnamed by, this is the rule set since hundreds of years ago. Don't think that since no one has won it for many years that it is automatically ignored. The guardian breathed heavily and stared at Old Ning. Old Ning was still chattering. She's not taking treasures out of your pocket. What are you being so stingy about? I'm giving you the opportunity to be a good person, yet you would not do it. Are you stupid? The guardian almost passed out from anger. The guardian thought that this girl wasn't pleasing to his eyes, so he didn't want her to raise her strength. The guardian glared at Old Ning with anger. However, in the end, he didn't dare to yell out his own thoughts. Old Ning said with a smile, "This is the rule. If you violate the rule, I can't ignore it, or we will bring this to the Elders Association." Old Ning patted his leg, obviously threatening him. Su Luo looked at Old Ning with a smile. Her impression of Old Ning was getting better and better by the minute. Su Luo suddenly thought of Luo Yichen, who had given her the soul essence. A thought flashed by her mind. Is this cute old man really sent by Luo Yichen? In this case, under the attack of Old Ning's poisonous tongue, and under the curious eyes of everyone, the guardian had no choice but to admit. He glanced at Su Luo coldly, then waved at the boy next to him. The boy gave Su Luo a hateful look, and then carefully took out a bell-shaped stone platform from his bag. Then the boy waved at Su Luo. Su Luo stared blankly at Old Ning subconsciously. Senior Luo was so caring, sending Old Ning here like this. If not, the guardian would definitely embezzle this opportunity. Su Luo thought bitterly in her heart. Old Ning patiently explained to Su Luo, "Little girl, you are a new candidate. There was a rule by the city lord many years ago that if a new candidate consequently passes assessment within a month, the candidate will have one more chance to draw a lottery. This time you are in Downstream Mountain. If you pass the Midstream Mountain exam later, remember that there is another chance to draw a lottery. Don't let others get it." Old Ning's words were straightforward. It was like a slap on the guardian's face. If it wasn't for Old Ning, the lottery would still be drawn this time, but the person who would have drawn the lottery will be the guardian, letting him get a chance to draw even though he did nothing. For many years, no new students had ever consecutively passed 2 mountains in a row. The candidates from the Downstream Mountains had changed from batch to batch. Therefore, those who had impressions of this matter were also confused, and Old Ning wasn't there to remind everyone. Su Luo nodded. "Thank you for reminding me. I will remember it." Old Ning nodded and continued to introduce the stone platform. "There is a turntable here, and Hiria?" Old Ning pointed to the small screen and told Su Luo, "Wherever it lands, the name will appear here. What are the possible treasures I can get?" Su Luo asked with interest. She really loved drawing prizes in the lottery. She still remembered that time, during the first level of Dragon's Secret Realm, she was the infamous Red Hand. She kept drawing prizes until she got cramps in her hand. Ultimately, She drew all the good prizes and brought everything home. Chapter 21:18. The Oriole hiding behind 10,000 points. It might be a lot for others, but for Su Luo, 10,000 points were really not attractive. It was just a day of selling medicine or of labor in the magical beast zone. What about the best? Su Luo's eyes were sparkling and flickering beautifully. Even though he was busy, old Ning cleared his throat and patiently said after showing the button, "This is the best. It is the 5 immemorial bones." Immemorial bones? What was that? Su Luo was confused. Her memory didn't have any information about it. The immemorial bones are divided into 5 pieces: 1 intelligent skull, 2 strength arm bones, and 2 agility leg bones. Ning Lao explained to Su Luo in detail. Seeing Su Luo didn't care, he immediately got mad. "Girl, don't underestimate them. This is a big treasure. Look at this intelligent skull. After fusing with the host, the wisdom of the host will reach unprecedented heights." Su Luo immediately got interested. Her eyes brightened. Another example, this strength arm bone. As long as the arm bones are fused, the attack strength will increase instantly. It can shoot people who are stronger flying by a whole rank. Isn't it great? Stronger by a whole rank. In other words, the 1-star of commander rank could beat the 1-star of the saint rank. This was definitely a good thing. Su Luo's weak point right now was her attack power. She couldn't break the opponent's defense against someone who was several stars higher than her, which was very annoying. If she had these strength arm bones, Su Luo was drooling so hard already. Let's talk about these agility leg bones. With this agility leg bone, if it is an ordinary person, the speed can almost catch up very quickly, as if the person can naturally teleport. How would that look like? Su Luo was so excited. This? I don't even know. Old Ning spread his hands. The old man has lived for so many years, and I haven't seen it yet. If you could get these agility leg bones in the future, girl, take a few steps for this old man to see, okay? Su Luo. She thought old Ning knew everything. Su Luo and old Ning were having an interesting conversation, and the crowd were all listening attentively, until the guardian couldn't hold back his anger any longer. "I can't wait anymore. If you don't want to do it now, then forget this." The guardian was breathing heavily and yelled towards the crowd. At this moment, everyone was looking at Su Luo. They all put all their attention on old Ning when he was explaining about the prizes. They were also drooling so hard, wishing they could be Su Luo, up there and buy the lottery. Old Ning patted Su Luo's thin shoulders. "Girl, come on. Let's pull out a piece of the immemorial bones. Whether it's an intelligent skull, a strength arm bone, or an agility leg bone, it's still a treasure." Yes. Su Luo was extremely confident. The guardian was getting angrier. What intelligent skull, strength arm bones, or agility leg bones? Haha. The guardian sneered several times. These treasures have a probability of 1 in 10 million. Want to get them? Probably in the next life. Maybe not. After so many years, because of various prizes, there were at least 10,000 or thousands of people who had drawn prizes in this system. However, no one had ever drawn the immemorial bones. This little brat could only draw once and wanted to get the big prize. What a wistful dream. At the moment, the place was eerily quiet. The lottery, what everyone looked forward to the most, was a miracle. Because of this possibility, countless people stared at Su Luo with envy and hatred. Chapter 21:19. The Oriole hiding behind 5. She stretched out her hand, ready to press down. After all, she had no chance of getting those immemorial bones. Hadn't the guardian already said it? The probability was 1 in 10 million. Just as Su Luo was about to press her hand down, she turned and saw Big Sister Wei beside her. Big Sister Wei's eyes flashed with an expression that showed she was eager for a try. Su Luo suddenly remembered how many times Big Sister Wei had saved her during the first 5 floors of the Tower of Trials. Without Big Sister Wei's protection, she would not even have the chance to enter the towers. Feeling moved, she decided to take a step back. Under everyone's surprised gaze, Su Luo smiled and nodded towards Big Sister Wei. "Go ahead. At Su Luo's words, everyone present gasped immediately. This was a chance to draw out a piece of immemorial bones. Yet she let someone else have it? How is there such a fool? All the bystanders stared at Su Luo with incomprehensible gazes. They felt that her mind had surely been poisoned by the nine-eyed, venomous spider. On the other hand, Big Sister Wei had no qualms about it whatsoever. Su Luo had asked her to go, and so she really did. She turned back and told Su Luo, "I will only help you draw it out. Whatever is drawn belongs to you. All right, just draw it. There's no need to feel anxious about it. An immemorial bone won't be drawn anyway." Su Luo's smile suddenly stiffened as she saw the words appearing on the screen. Seeing Su Luo's expression, all those present felt an ominous premonition. The Guardian took a step forward, and when he saw the name on the screen, his entire person froze still, like someone had encased him in ice. He just stood there like a statue, his eyes round and wide as he stared at Big Sister Wei. Even his throat seemed like it was being clutched by someone, and he just stared blankly, unable to say a single word. The onlookers were anxious. What was going on? What did she draw? Why did the Guardian look like an ice sculpture? Old Ning was also frozen like he had a stroke. Somebody say something. Many people tried to squeeze to the front. At this time, Old Ning coughed quietly, adjusted his sleeves, and made a silent move. Just then, rumble, rumble. There was a clear sound. Then a bone rolled out. Why is it a rotten old bone? Silly Big Sister Wei angrily grabbed the bone, wishing to just smash it into the ground. Then, she turned around, feeling aggrieved as she pinched the hem of her clothes. Glancing at Su Luo embarrassedly, Big Sister Wei quickly lowered her head. "Sorry, little Luo. Huh?" Su Luo could hardly make a sound. "I'm truly sorry. I helped you get a rotten bone," Big Sister Wei suddenly sobbed tearfully. Su Luo, Old Ning, Guardian. "How about not counting it this time? Let's try again?" Big Sister Wei's eyes suddenly lit up. "Don't!" Feeling anxious, Su Luo quickly grabbed hold of the thing that, according to Big Sister Wei, was a rotten bone and held it protectively against her chest. Then, Su Luo praised Big Sister Wei. "What luck you have. Truly, the heavens closed one door just to open another window." As it turned out, Big Sister Wei hadn't taken in a single word of Old Ning's long explanation earlier. She even said that this greatly treasured object was a rotten bone. "Oh, please. This was actually the strength arm bone that Old Ning mentioned just now, you know? It was the treasured object that Su Luo needed the most right now, okay?" After seeing the rotten bone in Su Luo's hands, everyone was suddenly agitated, like their emotions had been sent into disarray by a gust of wind. Each and every one of them seemed as if they were having a seizure. They shook incessantly, and their foreheads were covered in sweat. Chapter 21:20. The Oriole Hiding Behind 6. How did she draw it? How did she draw it? How the hell was she able to draw it? Didn't they say the possibility was 1 out of 10 million? How in the world did that silly Big Sister end up drawing it so casually? What kind of luck is this? Spare some for the living out. All kinds of envious, jealous, and hateful eyes stared at Su Luo and Big Sister Wei. The group of people couldn't wait to rush forward and take the bone for themselves. Seeing Su Luo hold the immemorial bone to her chest, the Guardian's eyes saw red, glaring so hard they almost popped out. This strength arm bone was originally his. It was his. The Guardian hid his shaking hands in his sleeves and dug his fingernails into his palms to hold down the greed he felt. He was determined to have this immemorial strength arm bone. At that moment, the Guardian looked at Su Luo with a gaze that was seeping with unprecedented hatred. Seeing the greed in his eyes, Su Luo felt a slight chill in her heart. As the saying went, one shouldn't reveal their wealth, especially one as grand as this. Nonetheless, because of this public lottery, there was no way she could hide it even if she wanted to. Things were really getting bad, and Su Luo subconsciously just wanted to project the thing into her space. Yet at this moment, something unexpected happened. "Young lady, this strength arm bone is very important to me. Please name your price." Lung Zhao's cold voice rang out. Su Luo looked into his ice-cold eyes. Was Lung Xiao also determined to have this? Before Su Luo could respond, the guardian's voice followed. I'll give you 500,000 points. What do you think, young lady? 500,000 points? Does he think of her as a beggar? Su Luo gave the guardian an angry look. 500,000 points, according to Su Luo's calculations, was only 50 days' worth of casual work for her. Nothing more. She didn't know what was happening. Hearing the offers from the two people, countless people blindly followed suit. Due to Su Luo's shocking performance this time around, many people from Midstream Mountain had come to spectate. So it was these people who followed up with their own bids. 600,000 points? I'll give you 700,000 points. 1 million. I'll give you 1 million points. Who dares to compete with me? I won't just give you 1 million points, but a treasure as well. Countless people scrambled to make bids to Su Luo, striving to be the first and fearing to be the last. It was a noisy, messy, and disorderly scene. Su Luo snuck a glance at them. She witnessed the greed of wanting to win in the eyes of the guardian, as well as the hatred in the 201st-ranked examinee's eye. These two, Su Luo felt as if her life was being threatened. And then there was Lung Xiao. Su Luo's eyes flashed slightly. If she took the strength arm bone today, she would immediately become a public enemy and a target to these people, which would be very unfavorable for her. So then, what should she do? The 201st-ranked examinee, as well as the guardian, Lung Xiao. Suddenly, Su Luo's eyes revolved slightly, and an idea immediately came to mind. Things had already come this far, so why not have someone else take the damage? With this thought, Su Luo's mood immediately improved. If done right, she would be able to kill two birds with one stone. Su Luo swiftly rose to the stone platform and spoke with a clear but cold voice. Stop. How can I hear you all clearly in such a mess? At Su Luo's words, silence fell in all four directions. Seeing that everyone had calmed down, the corners of Su Luo's mouth curled slightly. Purchasing the strength arm bone from Maya? That's not an impossibility. That you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.